The same thing in the interview will ask you how to, do the same using SQL queries or stored procedures. Okay. Okay. What we will do is we'll start with understanding how do we deal with the missing values. The key columns or the columns that use it as part of your report, it should not have missing values. Okay, so if that has missing values, it can cause some kind of misleading information that can lead to some kind of misleading information if you have missing values. For example, in the quantity column, if you have too much of missing values, then it is a problem. See, there are cases, yes, you will have some missing values, but the quantity column and the sales amount column and the list price column or the unit price column, and so these columns you are not supposed to have missing values. Columns like discount, you can have missing values. Not all the time, or not all the time, for all, not all the products we give the discount. Okay, but it is challenging whether the missing values which you find it in the discount column is correct one or not. Okay, so what what usually you need to do or we used to do is, if you find missing values in these kind of columns, we will go back and tell the customer these are this many number of missing values are there in each column. Okay, for example, in the discount column, if I find only few missing values, then we don't have to worry. Okay, but still we can get back to the customers. These are the the records or this many number of missing values we found in discount columns. Whereas in the quantity and other, these are kind of, something like a mandatory columns: quantity, and the list price and the sales amount, right? So, and then the cost of goods value. These are the columns or numeric column. It should have values in it. In case of any missing values, you need to check with the customers, why the missing values are found, and ask them to give the new data if required. Okay. Some cases, what they do is, okay, some missing values are let it be there, for the time being, for the sake of the report, right? You just go ahead and create the report by filling the missing values with some random values. And then a later point in time, I'll give you the correct data. What you do is you just, refresh that file data with your report file so that, the new values will be taken into account. Okay. So there you don't have to wait until they give the data where you don't find the missing values. Okay. It takes time. Let's wait for some time. And again, this dealing with missing values, data scientists, they use different techniques. They even use multiple. It is also called as the data imputation. The data scientist, better learn the data scientist thing. If you are above 5 years, don't waste your time in the BI part. Better get into data science as early as possible, because the salaries are very, very high. And learning the same thing, it's kind of boring, right? So learning the reporting part and ETL part, it's enough. But even as part of data science, you will be doing the data pre-processing, everything. But if you are lucky enough, there is a dedicated team to do the data pre-processing, everything. You don't have to do the data pre-processing everything. Okay, too much of data pre-processing, and someone has done it. And what you take the data and train your model, create pipelines, you're all set. Okay, so what we will do is, so we use this term called data imputation. Better you'll know this one also. Data imputation. So what do you mean by data imputation? Replace the blank value with some value. Replacing the blank values with meaningful full data. Okay, What do you mean by replacing the blank values? For example, you have the age column. In the age column, some customers you have the age 23 years, 26 years. Some customer you will find blank and then 28 blank is there. Okay. So in this case, what the data science process, what we do is we take the average of the each column and then replace that blank value with the average age. Okay. So that is how we do it. That is your data imputation. Okay, replacing the blank. It's not like replace the blank value with zero or something like that. Okay, instead we will use some random value. Instead of using the random value, you replace that value with some zero or something like that. Okay, so not zero, take the average of the each column and then replace the blank value with the average. Okay, this is called data imputation. Okay, but in this case, the reporting part, first thing is you need to get back to the customers. These are the mandatory columns, and also I'm going to create a new column based on the existing column, derived column. I'm going to create it. In that case, so and so column should have values in it. If that has blank value in it, it will throw an error. One is error, it will throw an error. The other scenario, it will not show the accuracy, right? Accuracy will not be there. There is no accuracy in your report. Okay, for example, if I see the chart, I can see that there is a dip in revenue. Actually, it is not a dip in revenue. We don't have the data for few records for that specific column. Okay, since it can lead to some kind of inaccuracy in the report. And another one is if you want to create a derived column, right? So based on the existing column, you want to apply some formulas and you want to create another new column. So in the case, the simple example is net revenue. You want to create a net revenue, but you have the gross revenue and you have the discount value, something like that, right? If you subtract the discount from the gross revenue, you will get net revenue. So if you, first of all, if you have zero in your gross revenue column, and if your discount is something like 0.22, something like that, okay, or 0.12, so what will happen is when you say, multiply this one, it leads to zero minus something like zero zero, you'll get right. And first of all, you need to check why this for this record in this column zero is there or blank value is there. Okay, so this is the cause for the concern, and it can lead to some kind of inaccuracy, and you cannot and also your new column, the net revenue which you created based on the formula that you used it with the existing columns, it will not show the correct thing, right? So these are the issues. So some cases, right, what the customer say, hey, go ahead and replace these values with some random values and then create the report. Okay. So random value also, right? Blindly, I cannot put based on my intuition some values here. We need to. So that's where we have something called fill up or fill down options, or option is available in the Power Query Editor, using which you can replace the values. Now the fill up and fill down, how it works. Fill up and fill down, how it works. I just explain now itself. Supposing you have the data, like, the ID, sorry, okay, 1 second. For example, you have a customer ID column and the name of the customer and the age of the customer. Simple example. Okay, here, here you have something like 101, name is Raju, and age is blank. Here, nothing is there. And 102, Ramesh, and here the age is, let's say 25. And 103, Charlie. Okay, and blank value is there, and 104, something like John. Okay, and here also blank is there. So the fill up, how it works is, So it goes and checks in your age column. Okay, for example, I just select the age column because I have the missing values. I need to deal with these missing values. I need to, make sure that this column have values in all the records. Okay, or this column should have non-blank values. But unfortunately, I have the blank values here. So with the using fill up, what it does is you need to first select the age column, and when you select fill up, what happens is it goes and checks the non-blank value, the first non-blank value. It goes and checks, this is a blank value, blank value. It's a non-blank value is 25. It propagates this value in the upward direction. 25, 25 it will put. The fill down is the opposite. Okay. So here what will happen is it goes and it checks, right? Yeah, here let's say you have the 25 is available, and here also you have blank value. It goes and checks the non-blank value. Once it finds the non-blank value, it replaces the non-blank value by propagating in the downward direction. It will put 25, 25, 25, 25, something like that. Okay, so this is what fill up and fill down. It's a very simple thing. You might be asking this one. This is also kind of putting some irrational values, right? It doesn't make any sense. Simply if you put the same value just above and putting the same value, just below this one for the rest of the records, it doesn't make sense. So for, this one of the techniques that is available, it is up to you. If you want to use it, you can use it. Otherwise, you don't have to use it. It's not that mandatory to use this one. But what we do is to make sure that we are not going to have any blank records. Why you take this much of time? So it's up to you. Okay. For example, you have the blank values. With that blank values in your report, let's say you want to create some bin, right? So the teenagers, based on the age column, you want to create some bin. Bin is something like bucketing. The teenagers and young age group and the middle age group and older age group and very old age group. You want to create some bucket like this. Okay. For that, you need to have data in your age column. So why should I create a bin or bucket? So we use a term called bin or bucketing. This is called bucketing. In the case of age, you have different age group of customers, right? You want to do some analysis later point in time. The people between, let's the customers between 17 years to or 14 to 20 years. You just classify them as teenagers, right? Teenagers. And 21 to this 30 years, you say young age group. And 31 to let's 50, you say middle age. Okay, and above 50 and above, you call it an old age, right? So how much revenue we generated in each bucket, right? So teenagers, how much money they spend. So money spent, you want to understand how much money spent by each group of the customers. Here it's kind of a group. Bucketing is also called, or bin or bucketing is also group, right? So those people fall between the 14 to 20 customer age group. So they are falling in the teenagers group, and these customers fall in the group of young age group. These customers falling in the middle age group, and 50 and above they fall in the older age group. If you want to do this kind of analysis, obviously this column should not have any blank values. If you have blank values, let it be there, but still, right? So what it is, why to leave some blank values? Just above 25, you have blank values. And some cases, right, you have 25, just below this, you have blank values, okay? Let's say you have the values 23, 24, 25, something like that. And just after 25, you have blank values. So in that case, fill down will help, right? It goes and checks which record, right? We know the non-blank value is there, right? The just above the blank value, which one is the non-blank values. This is let's say 23 or 25. Let's say 25, right? It propagates this value in the downward direction. 25, 25, 25. It will put. Okay. And so let's after right it be there. So in the case right, it fills at least 25, 25. It's not blank value. And after 30 you have some values, right? So when you create the bucketing like this, it will do some. But you might be asking this question: we are filling something illogically by with this approach. But how? So in that case, how does that my report, the created report shows the accurate values? It is not accurate actually. Okay. But you need to tell the customer, based on this technique, we have created this report. And by the time you finish creating or designing your reports, right? If they share the data, you can just reuse that data by refreshing your existing data in your report file so that the appropriate data will get loaded and the report will show the correct values. You don't have to wait till they give the original data or the data that do not have blank values in it. Okay, fine. So what I will do is I will just create some temporary data. I'll just put some simple data here, right? But in the case of machine learning or data science, what we do is we use some prediction technique and conditional based mean average. And average also, it doesn't make sense, right? If I take the average blindly in the age column, and if I replace the blank values, all the blank values in my age column by the average of the entire the age column, that doesn't make any sense. But later point in time, you can go back and, once you get your original data, you can go back and you can replace these things again with the original data. Okay. Okay, what I will do is, but there we use some regression technique also, multiple columns. How do we, uh, how do we fill the blank values? For that, we use some multiple regression techniques also to do the prediction. Okay, name of the customer, some age. We'll put some age and all. And here I say one, Raju. And two is I'll just say, yeah, the text value. Okay, in this case, text value, we will leave it with something like this. And then here I just say 24. And here I just say Charlie, blank value. And then here I just say the fourth one. I just say Rohan. And here I'm going to leave it blank. Okay. Simple data set. I just save this as see, none of the data files will look like this. Okay. The name will look like this. Okay. I just for the demonstration purpose, I'm using it. When you wanted to try it out, right, you don't have to break your head, what is the file name and all. So with this concept name itself, right, if you store the data, it will be easier for it to remember. And, and you can look out for it. So what I will do is I will just folder XLS file and that one. We will load this data here. Get data and it's an Excel file. Fill up and down data. I'll just load it. Okay, the file got loaded now. And the sheet one, I hit load. You can see the sheet one here. I just rename it with I go to the home ribbon and open the Power Core editor. So I just select the appropriate query, fill up and down. I'm going to select the age column and I'm going to click on the transform ribbon. And here you can see something like fill. Can you see it? The fill option is available here. Fill, I just click on the drop down here. And then I'm going to click on the up. Let's see what happens. Look here, the 24. It went and checked the non-blank value. The non-blank value was 24. And then the moment when I selected the up, right, what happens? This value got propagated in the upward direction. The same value got copied, right? So propagate means the same value got copied here. And now if I click on the drop down here, and if I do the uh, fill down now, look here, this value got propagated just beneath this one. You can try with different values also here. Okay. Here in the case of a name, okay, 1 second. So if I do the fill down, the same thing is happening here. But in the case of customer name, you cannot do this, right? It doesn't make sense. Okay, you're not supposed to use it. Just because the fill up down is available, you cannot blindly use it, right? So in the case of numeric column, it makes sense. Supposing you have something like the categorical column, you can use this technique. Okay, you can use this technique. And for example, here, I just go back here. Yeah, so for example, right here, I just get let's the customer did not give me the data that do not have non-blank values. Since we have blank values, for the time being, we have created this, we loaded this, and with this we created some chart. Let's assume that way, okay? All right, so later point, he gives me the data. For example, he gives me the Raju with 26 years, and here he gives me the name as Ramesh, and Charlie is 28, and this guy is 40 years, something like that. Okay. Now you can go back here and then go to the home ribbon. You can click on the refresh preview. Okay, look here, the up-to-date data got loaded here. But since you don't have the data for these records, if you create a chart report in your report canvas, it will show the blank values. It doesn't look good, right? So what we do is we use this technique, fill up and down. That feature is available. Or if you are good with Python, you can do data imputation also. You can find out the conditional mean. What do you mean by conditional mean? For example, Simple example. I have the product code is something like P0A21. This product is something like let's say an iron box. Okay, iron box. The cost is 1025. Okay, this portable iron box. Okay, the cost is just 1025. And then this is the invoice date. Invoice date. You have raised an invoice on let's 2nd June 2024. Sorry, let's 20 not June, 2nd Jan. Okay, 2nd Jan 2024. And the invoice number is something like 8X5101, something like that. Okay. This is the invoice number, this is the invoice date. On this date, this is what your product code and product name, and this is the price, list price. Okay, likewise, right? If you see the invoice, you have the data for everything. And for example, there are some invoices like F120563, and this is your invoice number, and invoice date is 3rd June 2024, and you can see the product code, the same product code. Okay, 21 iron box. Same model, same iron box. You just think, here you have the blank value. In that case, you need to use a logic wherein, right? You need to check whether the same product code is already exist in this data set, and also, right, the current year, right? In the present year, the same product code, do we have it? If it is there, you go and check the corresponding price. Okay, and that price you pick up, and you can update this one with the blank value here. This makes sense. Supposing you have something like 8x 5 is 51081, right? So there is something like 3rd of Feb 2024, the same product P0A21 box. So here you have the price like 1085. The challenge, now you are presented with a different challenge, right? So you need to check the same product code already available, but within that, right, you need to find out the most recent invoice date wherein the product code is P0A21, and you need to check the recent price from here. With that, you need to. So, but you are not sure, if this is going to be the latest price. Still, probably right after a while, they would have sold the same iron box with the previous price also. The price may change time to time because of this dynamic world. Okay, to sustain the momentum from your competitor price. So what we do is you take the average of the previous prices of the current year, and then you need to update this one. Okay, this is called conditional, based on the condition. So go and do a lookup, and filter all the product code with the similar value that are available in the previous transaction, and also the previous transaction for the same product code prices should be there. It should not be blank. Okay, and it has to go and pick up those record that do not have blank value in the price column. Pick up those prices. If the prices are differing, or if you have more than one price, and if the prices are differing, you take the average, and then you put it here. It makes sense. Okay, this is called data imputation, conditional data imputation. This is a little bit the complex one, right? Conditional. In some cases, we use the prediction technique, okay, regression algorithm, to make a prediction, and then we will replace the blank with the predicted the price here. Okay, that is very, very advanced one. Anyhow, this is one of the scenarios I just want to share it with you. Okay, so you don't have to ask the customer, hey, give me the price for this specific product, which we invoiced it, by in this month. If they say, no, I don't have it on top of my head, you can go ahead and still create the report. But still what you can do, you can do conditional mean and do the imputation, and then create the report. That's all, you're all set. Okay. But some cases, yes, you may not get the data. Some cases you may get the data. If you get the data, you're all set, right? But your report is ready, and then you have the chart, right? The column chart or pie chart, something like that. Okay, you have some charts are available. But once you get the data, let's say you have designed your report, everything. Okay, once you get the original data, you click on the refresh preview. Okay, or even in the Power BI desktop itself, you have something like refresh, right? You can see refresh here. You can click on this one. It'll it'll load the recent data. It'll override the existing other, the most up-to-date data, so that your report will be ready. You don't have to make any changes at that point in time to your report design. Okay, and here I just save it again. I just click on the home ribbon and then click on refresh preview. No, it is not. Okay. Okay, I just close this here. Okay, it is not, once you do the fill down or fill up, it is getting replay. 1 second, I'll just apply the changes. And if I go to the table view, I just clicked on the fill up and down. It'll take some time to populate the data. Let's wait for some. Yes, it shows the final change which we made it here, and I'm going to click on refresh. But after you do the data transformation, yeah, you need to undo these transformation, whatever you did it there, right? What are the steps that you carried out for the fill up down? You need to undo that. Even though you refresh it, it is not going to refresh the current, because that is that is how it works, right? All the transformations which you do it, even though you load the fresh data, still it will apply the steps whatever you performed in the previous one. Look here, fill up and down. What I do is, I want you to tell this one, but none of you were able to, see, this is the one. I just, undid this one. But this is the one step you need to do it. This, with after you did the fill up and down, you created the report. And later sometime, the customer comes back and give you the data, right? So you can, you can click on the refresh, you will get the data. And later sometime, right, if you want to refresh it, because you have already applied the steps like fill up and down. Even when you click on the refresh, it will take into account of the fresh data. It will apply the same step again, the fill up and down. Okay. So look here, now only it shows the correct one. But whatever the changes that you carry out using Power Query Editor, when you close that with apply, it will make it permanent to your data model. The data, whatever the changes, right, it will make it permanent. Right. So in that case, if you try to refresh the new data, even if you click on the refresh with the new data, it is not going to reflect, right? So hence the only way out is you need to go to the Power Query Editor and undo the steps that you carried out. And then if you refresh it, it will show the correct data, because whatever the data that you loaded, right? For that, if in case of any steps or transformation done using Power Query Editor, even for the new data, the same steps will get applied. But once you use the close and apply or apply button. When you click on it, it will make the changes permanent to your data set. Okay, best thing is you go to the Power Query editor, undo the steps that you carried out to deal with the missing values. Anyhow, I just remove those steps, fill up and down, and because if I share this file to you, right, you can see this, and you can see the original data which that have blank values in it. And with that, even for text, it is working. But the case of name, it doesn't make sense. If you do the fill up or fill down, it is completely illogical. Okay. For example, you have something like job. Okay, job category, store manager or manager, junior manager. So whichever category appears more time, if you take specifically and replace it with the blank value, it makes sense. For example, you can see more store manager in the job column. That means, the store managers are there more, right, compared to the other job category. You can replace that store manager with the blank value. Okay, sorry, you can replace the blank value with the store manager in that case. That means, but once you get the correct data, you can click on the refresh and roll. But if, before you click on the refresh, make sure that whatever the steps that you carried out to address the data issues, right? The means the fill up down in our example, you need to undo that one. Otherwise, what will happen? Even if you refresh, the data will get loaded, but the previous steps will get applied again. Yeah, refresh, the scheduling the refresh will see it later, because still I'm posing that issue with the authentication app. Okay, that we have to do it in cloud. Okay, that we'll see it later. Very simple in the cloud, the Power BI cloud service. You go there and we have an option to see all the data that are used as part of the respective report file. And when next to the, you need to select the appropriate data file, and next to that you can see three dots that is called ellipses. When you click on it, you have something like data schedule option, something like that. Okay, when you click on it, it will take you to the scheduling page where you need to specify the connection details, everything, and then the timing will be there. Okay, that you can do it later. Okay, that we'll sit this week. I will spend time, I'll fix it. Okay, so this one wraps up what is missing values and how to deal with the missing values. What are the different techniques that you can use it to deal with the